Welcome to Simple Smart Investing Podcast, brought to you by Cory, the founder of Black Creek Wealth Management, a registered investment advisory firm out of Jacksonville, Florida. Information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and/or tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed herein. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. What is Simple Smart Investing? This show is designed to help our listeners think differently about financial topics and investing. Cory has over 15 years of complex trading, investment management, and comprehensive financial planning he wants to share to serve others. The landscape of investing is changing, and to be successful, Cory wants to introduce to his listeners alternative thinking around their investing so they can make impactful decisions to work towards their goals quickly and safely as possible. Thank you for tuning in. And now, let's get to the show.
Hey everybody, Cory Schrader of Black Creek Wealth Management. I appreciate you coming to episode number 5 of Simple Smart Investing Podcast. Super excited to be doing this as I continue to talk day in and day out. Hope everyone had a wonderful holiday season. Here we went to Jacksonville. We're in Jacksonville. We went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It was a wonderful experience to take some Floridians to see some powder and some actual dry snow. It's kind of frustrating, though. Couldn't make any snowballs because it was just so dry out there. Coming from Chicago, at least I remember being able to do a little bit of some snowball fights, but it was a little more challenging in Wyoming only because it was so dry. Even negative 10 below still didn't feel nearly as cold as 40 degrees in Florida with the humidity. So it was really, really a blast. The Schrader family had a great time. Had some wonderful flight delays on the way back, but thankfully we were able to get out of there before that huge storm came through. So everything was really cool. Had a great holiday season, both Hanukkah and Christmas, and got to spend it with friends and family. So it was a great time, and I'm hoping everyone out there listening had a wonderful time as well. So you're not here to hear about my day-to-day, but definitely wanted to probably hear a little bit more about my topic today, which is about what is there other than a 529 account? And for anyone who has kids like me, you've somehow come across this if you ever wanted to or ever thought about trying to save for college for your kids or even maybe your grandkids. Maybe you didn't have any college funds and that's what's something you wanted to provide to your grandkids. And there's a lot of different options out there. And my hope here today is to help clarify a little bit of what are the options out there? Most people only know, at least here in Florida, a Florida prepaid or the 529 account. You kind of hear these buzzwords. Well, here to tell you, there's a lot more than just those that you can use, and they all have their pros and cons when it comes down to it. But I want to talk today about what's called the UTMA. Yeah, you heard me right. It's the UTMA account or the Uniform Trust of Minors account. Now, it is one that has been gaining a lot more traction these days, and for good reason. A lot of the things that you want to look at when it comes to, saving for college is, and this is my own 2 cents here, you want to look at flexibility. So when I was saving for Jocelyn and Jacob, being in the industry, I obviously know a lot of different ways to skin the cat here because you can save for more than just, one specific goal, I should say, like as far as education goes, right? Well, I want to save for kids, and I know the Florida prepaid is a good way to do that, right? And why? Because I'm going to pay college now at a lower rate than what it would probably be in the future because of tuition rates going up or what they call tuition inflation. But when I was sitting down and I was thinking about it, in my opinion, because I've been doing this investing thing for quite a long time, is people are starting to change their dynamics when it comes around college and costs. In fact, Florida in general did a credit last year because college actually was less expensive than what they had projected. So those people who had paid into Florida prepaid decided, you know what? I think the credits are a little bit high. So the government said, hey, you know what? We agree with you. We're going to go ahead and give you a credit. So they gave back a credit. So it got me thinking. And when I was looking at it saying, well, I want to save for college, but what if what if my kids don't go to college, right? But I still want to do something for them, but I still want to have the benefits of tax savings or tax deferral that I can use to my advantage so the money can grow more tax efficiently so I can, compound more because I'm not paying taxes every single year on gains or income that comes into the account. And that is a good way to save for college because you're compounding without costs and fees, right? Because those are two things that'll eat away from any return that you have. So I thought about it, sat down with Melissa, and I was talking to her, and I was like, number one, I've been managing money for quite a while, and I feel pretty comfortable that I can outpace what the government's going to invest my money at. So I think overall, that's number one, that I'd rather go ahead and be in control of my kids' college funds and try to get a little bit more of a higher rate of return than what the government will do, because their growth rate is more around 3-4%. So you're actually contributing more than if you were able to grow it at a higher rate. And I'm trying to shoot for something somewhere around 8 to 10% a year. So therefore, I don't have to put as much money into college because I'm getting the growth out of it. So we looked at the college prepaid, and from when I was a kid, college, you paid for Florida prepaid, and you paid like, I think it was like $250, but it covered everything. Covered books, covered tuition. I don't think room and board and food was a part of it, but no one really did that back then. But now they'll nickel and dime you across all those different things. So the way I looked at it was, how can I save for my kids' college, give them the option if they don't go to college, how can I still save and still be tax efficient? So enter the UTMA. I like the investment flexibility of it. It's taxed at a more favorable rate because ultimately, when you use this UTMA account or Uniform Trust of Minors account, the money is set up in an irrevocable trust in the kid's name. So I'm I'm gifting money to my kids, and you can do up to about 16,000, which is what it was for 22. You can do 17 next year, but you can gift that full amount in, and as you do that, that money can grow again more tax efficiently. The first $1,000 of any sort of taxable income is taxed at 0. The next 1,000 is taxed at the kids rate, which is about 10%. And then anything over $2,100 or $2,100 in any sort of income or capital gains is going to be taxed at the parent's rate. So if you have an investment approach where you're just growth and you're not really focusing on dividends, or you're not really focusing on capital appreciation in the sense of taking capital gains every single year, you're not going to pay taxes on that money until you eventually do that. Most people do a buy and hold strategy, and the dividends that come in over time aren't going to be high enough where you're going to end up paying taxes. So I like it because, again, you can invest in whatever you like. You can essentially have more of a favorable tax rate. Again, it's growing tax deferred as long as you stay within the parameters. And the kids can use it for anything. They can use it for college. They can use it for a new house. They can use it for a down payment on a car, whatever, or rent for their apartments, whatever they want to use it for. It gives them a lot more flexibility, where a 529 plan or Florida prepaid has to be used for college. And a 529, and how it's different than a Florida prepaid, is a 529 is, again, a college focused savings plan where you put your money in, and there's many different options out there, but it's basically invested similar to how like a target date fund would be. So you set a certain time when you're going to go to school, and then someone invests it and puts it in international, domestic, fixed income. Again, as an investment manager, really don't feel like I need to have somebody else manage that because I do it for a living. So when I look at it, I'm like, okay, I don't like international as much as they do, as they put about 30% of your money in international. A lot of target date funds are like that too. So I don't want to do that. So I essentially say, okay, they're going to have some level of schooling, and kind of tell you a little bit about how I ran mine is I actually have mine broken up between a 529 and a UTMA account, because a UTMA account, even though it is in the kids, I still want to be able to have something for their college as well. and I want to actually have a little bit more for them outside of just college. So the 529s that they do have, let's say Jake doesn't go to college, I can use that money for future generations, or I can just take that money out and then whatever the gains are, I just pay taxes on the gains and there's no harm, no foul. So it's still a favorable tax way to save, but it just doesn't give as much flexibility. Now, a couple of cons that you need to think about when it comes to this UTMA account is that it is the kid's money. So you do have to set up a custodian. Usually the parents are the custodian, or sometimes the grandparents are the custodian. And then the kids, when they hit age of majority, which it's 21 in Florida, and one thing that a lot of kids don't know is that the person who's the custodian doesn't really have to turn over that account until 25. It's really up to what they call the transfer. But the age of majority in Florida is 21. So when the kid hits 21, typically they need to put it in to what's called a change of registration, where they move it from a UTMA account to an individual account in their name, and the money transfers over at 21, which is a little unsettling for me because I remember what I was like at 21, and I don't know if having a college savings account at 21 was such a great idea. So there's a lot of thought that needs to go into this. So if you're outside of Florida, like I said, the age of majority in Florida is 21. If you're outside of Florida, just Google age of majority in your state, and don't type in Virginia, West Virginia, whatever, wherever you are. Just type in age of majority, and then it will tell you if you want to add UTMA at the end. It'll give you even more clarity into where to that layout. So the biggest thing to know, again, with the cons is that it is in the kid's name. The other thing is if you are planning on using any sort of federal aid, a UTMA account will actually be factored in to the financial aid conversation because it's the kid's assets. And unfortunately, when it comes to that, in most cases, federal financial aid formula typically requires a student to contribute more of his or her total assets to college costs, up to about 35%, whereas your parents are expected to contribute less, at most about 5.6% of their assets. So you got to do that calculation. At the end of the day, if you're able to not use financial aid, UTMA definitely makes sense. Even if you're not looking to put a ton of money into the UTMA account, just realize that if you do apply for financial aid, they are going to be looking at the kids' assets. And there are plenty of financial aid calculators on bankrate.com. I mean, I think Fidelity, Schwab, all the brokerage houses have, college education calculators that you can use. So definitely take a look at that. Now, as I told you, the account is in the kid's name. So any gifts or transfers are irrevocable. That means once you put them in, they have to be used by the benefit, or has to be used to the benefit of the child. And the donors are prohibited from ever taking money back for any other uses outside of, again, what is in the best interest of the child. So this is definitely something you want to look at. I definitely use this, and I've been saving for the kids now for 10 plus years, and I definitely use this. And I highly encourage anyone to actually look at this. The other thing is, and this is probably one that's not as used as much, but let's say you wanted to still save, but you wanted to maintain control. You didn't want to put in the kids' names because maybe you have a meathead as a kid, or maybe you just don't feel comfortable putting that much money in their name. You can create a joint account. Now, just realize that your social and their social is on it. So any taxable income or any taxable event that you create, capital gains and such, will be at your tax rate. Well, if you're not in a high tax bracket, okay, maybe it's something you need to consider, but it also still keeps you in control of the money. So the biggest things to look at when it comes to any sort of college fund is you want to look at a Florida prepaid. Still not a fan of that one, just because I think costs in general are coming down. But you do have 529 plans. You do have UTMA accounts. They also call them UGMA. There's a slight difference, but I'm not getting into it. And then, of course, that joint account. And then you can always look at a Roth account for a kid. If they're working, or if you have a business and they're working for you, you can always use the Roth account, and they can always use that towards college as well. So there's a lot of things that you can do. As always, if you have questions when it comes to what I'm talking about, if I've threw too much at you and you want some clarity, I will spend as much time as you need to make sure that you and your kids get the best out of their finances and your finances. So please reach out, email me, text me, whatever you need to do. Get a hold of me because I'm here to serve. And as I always say, if no one's told you today that they care about you, please know that I do. I'm here to serve. So if you have any questions, any thoughts, there's something that I'm not talking about that is important to you, just send me an email. I promise you I will go ahead and do a podcast on it. I am here for you. But at the end of the day, I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful end of the year here. Really excited about the next couple of podcasts coming up next month. I'm going to start digging into more about retirement planning, especially for those people that are working towards retirement in my age or a little bit older. I got to get us ready, people. So let's go ahead and start focusing on that. But again, have a blessed day. Have a great day, y'all. Talk to you soon. Take care.